WWE SmackDown just gave us one of the most confusing and controversial episodes of the year, and I'm about to break down 3 separate situations that have the wrestling community either scratching their heads in bewilderment or absolutely furious at WWE's decision-making. Cody Rhodes just won a match in the most questionable circumstances possible that has people debating whether it was brilliant storytelling or terrible booking. Matt Cardona showed up wearing pants that have sparked a debate you won't believe, and WWE is apparently planning Brock Lesnar's next opponent, but they can't decide between Femi and LA Knight, and both choices have major problems. And here's what has me ready to lose my mind: all 3 of these stories represent WWE at a crossroads where they could either make the right decisions and create compelling television, or make the wrong decisions and waste incredible opportunities. Before we dive into each of these messy situations and debate what WWE should do next, I need to know which of these 3 stories has you the most frustrated: Cody's controversial win, Matt Cardona's wardrobe choice, or Brock's unclear opponent situation. Drop your answer in the comments because I want to see which one is causing the biggest debate. Let's start with the Cody Rhodes situation because this is the one that has social media absolutely exploding right now. Cody was in a match against Carmelo Hayes on SmackDown, a great matchup on paper between the champion and a rising star who's been getting a lot of buzz lately. The match itself was really good for the 15 minutes it lasted. Both men were working hard, the crowd was into it, and it looked like we were building toward a clean finish. Then the ending happened, and nobody can agree on whether it was the right call or not. Quick trivia question: how many clean victories has Cody Rhodes had as undisputed WWE champion? This one might not count, so let me know your answer. Here's what went down. Carmelo had Cody in a pinning predicament. The referee counted 1, 2, and Cody's shoulder came up at what looked like 2.9. But the referee kept counting and hit 3. The bell rang, Carmelo's music started playing, and for about 10 seconds everyone thought Carmelo Hayes had just beaten the WWE champion. But then the referee waved it off, went to the timekeeper, and after a discussion that felt like an eternity, they announced that Cody's shoulder had come up before 3 and the match was continuing. Carmelo was furious, the crowd was confused, and when the match restarted, Cody hit Rhodes within 30 seconds and got the pin. Now, here's where the debate gets heated. Perspective: this was terrible booking that makes everyone look bad. People in this camp are arguing that this finish makes the referee look incompetent, makes Carmelo look weak for not being able to capitalize when he had Cody beaten, and makes Cody look like he's getting special treatment from WWE management. If Carmelo had actually beaten Cody, that would have been a huge moment for him. Instead, the finish was waved off, and he lost anyway. What was the point? There's also the concern that finishes like this train the audience to not trust what they are seeing. If you can't believe the referee's count, if decisions can just be reversed with no clear explanation, how are you supposed to invest in the outcomes of matches? Perspective: this was brilliant storytelling that adds layers to Cody's reign. People defending this finish are arguing that it shows Cody is human and beatable, that even the champion can have close calls, and that this sets up Carmelo as a legitimate threat going forward. The controversy of the finish gives them a reason to run the match back, and next time the stakes will be even higher because we know Carmelo can come this close to beating Cody. From this perspective, the confusion and controversy are features, not bugs. Wrestling is supposed to be dramatic and unpredictable, and a finish like this gets people talking, which is ultimately what matters. What's your take on controversial finishes like this? Do they add drama or do they just frustrate fans? Let me know where you stand. My honest assessment: I think this finish was a mistake. Yes, it created controversy and got people talking, but it also made the referee look incompetent and robbed Carmelo of what could have been a career-defining moment. If WWE wanted to protect Cody while elevating Carmelo, there are better ways to do it than a finish that leaves everyone confused about what actually happened. Now let's talk about Matt Cardona's pants, and yes, I'm being completely serious. This has become a genuine controversy in the wrestling community and I need to address it. Matt Cardona showed up on SmackDown wearing pants that had what appeared to be inappropriate imagery on them, and I'm being vague here because I don't want to get this video demonetized, but if you saw the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The imagery was subtle enough that it got past WWE's approval process, but obvious enough that social media immediately caught it and started sharing screenshots. Quick question: should wrestlers have complete creative control over their ring gear, or should WWE have strict approval processes? This one's going to divide opinions now. Here's where this gets interesting. Some people are defending Matt, saying he's a heel and heels are supposed to push boundaries and do things that get heat. If people are talking about his pants instead of his wrestling, well, that's still attention, and attention is valuable in this business. Others are absolutely furious, saying that there are lines you don't cross, that WWE is supposed to be family-friendly programming, and that subtle inappropriate imagery isn't edgy heel work, it's just unprofessional and potentially damaging to WWE's brand. WWE hasn't officially commented on the situation yet, but there are reports that Matt has been spoken to about his wardrobe choices going forward. Which raises the question, if it was inappropriate enough to warrant a conversation, why did it get approved in the first place? Where was the quality control? Here's my take, I think Matt was trying to be edgy and push boundaries, which is fine for a heel character, but there's a difference between being edgy and being inappropriate, and this crossed that line. WWE is a publicly traded company with sponsors and broadcast partners who expect a certain level of professionalism. If Matt wants to wear controversial gear, he should save it for the independent scene where there are fewer restrictions. Now let's get to the Brock Lesnar situation, and this is the one that has me the most conflicted because both potential opponents have compelling arguments for and against them. According to multiple reports, WWE is planning Brock Lesnar's next program and they are deciding between two opponents, Abar Fimi and LA Knight. Let's break down each option. The case for Abar Fimi is pretty strong. He's a physical specimen who looks like he could legitimately go toe-to-toe with Brock. He's been dominant in NXT, he's got a great look, and a program with Brock could catapult him to main roster stardom immediately. If Abar beats Brock, it would be a massive rub that establishes him as a top-tier threat. But here's the case against Abar is still relatively unknown to the casual SmackDown audience. If you don't watch NXT regularly, you might have no idea who this guy is. Is WWE really going to trust a Brock Lesnar program, which is always a big deal and a major investment, to someone who hasn't been established on the main roster yet? There's also the risk that if Abar loses to Brock, which is probably the more likely outcome, it could damage his momentum before he even gets started on the main roster. Being the guy who lost to Brock Lesnar isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not the best way to introduce a new star either. The case for LA Knight is equally compelling. He's over with the crowd, he can talk, he's proven himself as a main event caliber performer, and a feud with Brock would give him something significant to do after months of spinning his wheels. Knight has been begging for a top-tier program, and Brock could be exactly what he needs. But here's the case against, haven't we seen this before? LA Knight has had multiple opportunities to break through to that top level, and while he's certainly talented and popular, WWE seems reluctant to fully commit to him as a main event guy. Giving him a program with Brock only to have him lose doesn't really help anyone. Which opponent do you think makes more sense for Brock, the unproven monster Abar Fimi, or the established star LA Knight? Give me your reasoning in the comments. Here's my take on this situation. WWE should go with Abar Fimi, but, and this is crucial, only if they are willing to have Abar win. If the plan is for Brock to win and move on to someone else, then there's no point in doing this match. Abar needs the victory to establish himself, and Brock is at a point in his career where he can afford to put over young talent. If WWE isn't willing to have Abar beat Brock, then they should go with LA Knight and actually commit to Knight as a main event player. Give him a competitive program with Brock, let him look strong even in defeat, and then build from there. What they should not do is have Brock squash either guy in a short match and move on. That helps nobody and wastes an opportunity to create a new star. Let me connect all three of these stories because I think they illustrate a broader problem with WWE's current approach. They are making decisions that create short-term buzz but don't necessarily benefit the long-term health of their storylines or their roster. The Cody finish got people talking, but it didn't really help anyone. Matt Cardina's pants got attention, but not the kind of attention WWE probably wants. And the Brock opponent situation is a perfect example of WWE being unable to commit to clear, decisive booking decisions. Question for everyone, do you think WWE is too focused on creating viral moments instead of telling good long-term stories? This might be the most important question of the whole video. All three of these situations could be resolved with clarity and commitment. Give Cody clean wins and clean losses, the fans can handle it. Give Matt Cardina clear guidelines about what's acceptable for WWE programming. Pick Brock's opponent based on who you want to build, not who will create the most buzz in the moment. The frustrating thing is that WWE has all the tools they need to be putting on incredible television every week. They have the talent, they have the resources, they have the platform. What they sometimes lack is the willingness to make bold, clear decisions and stick with them. Final question, if you were running WWE, which of these three situations would you handle differently, and how? Give me your fantasy booking. Look, I love WWE, I want them to succeed. I want their storylines to be compelling and their stars to be elevated and their shows to be must-see television. But weeks like this, where we get confusing finishes, wardrobe controversies, and indecisive booking plans, make it hard to defend some of their decisions. What WWE needs to do is take a step back and ask themselves, are we making decisions that benefit our performers and our storylines, or are we making decisions that create temporary buzz without thinking about the consequences? If you're as frustrated with these situations as I am, I need you to engage with this video. Like if you think WWE needs to be more decisive in their booking. Dislike if you think I'm being too harsh and these situations will work themselves out. And absolutely flood the comments with your takes on all three stories, your solutions to these problems, and your predictions for how they'll be resolved. This is Wrestling Zone 1, where we celebrate great wrestling but aren't afraid to call out confusing booking when we see it. Cody's controversial win, Matt Cardina's inappropriate pants, and Brock's undecided opponent are three stories that could go either way depending on what WWE does next. Subscribe for more analysis of wrestling's most controversial moments, and let's hope WWE figures out how to turn these messes into compelling television.